If you are looking for a way to invest for your kids, but you're trying to think outside the box than a typical 529 plan, there are other brokerage accounts that you should definitely pay attention to, including UGMAs. That's Uniform Gifts to Minors Act. In this video, we are going to be covering exactly what a UGMA is and whether or not you should open one. Hey, what's up guys? It's Justine with Debt Free Millennials, the channel to help you crush your debt and live payment free. So let's talk about how we can start investing for kids or favorite kid in your life. Maybe that's your own children, maybe that's a niece or nephew, and you want to set them up financially. Before we get into UGMAs, I wanted to let you know that I have a special book coming out that I wrote especially for kids. It's called Investing for Kids, 65 Activities About Growing, Saving, and Investing Your Money, and it is available for pre-order by using the link below in the description box. It has tons of activities to help your favorite kid understand just the basic concepts about money and also investing their money. So I think it would be a great idea to not only think about something like a UGMA that you can set up yourself, but also equipping them with tools like this awesome book to help them understand those concepts at an early age. This is for ages 8 to 12, so definitely check that out using the link below. Okay, now back to UGMAs. Okay, so what is a UGMA? A UGMA, or a Uniform Gift to Minors Act, is a type of custodial account that you can open on behalf of a beneficiary. And inside of this type of account, you can take those assets, the money that you put into the account, and invest it into the stock market. You can invest in things like bonds, stocks, index funds, mutual funds, and that money in this investment account is going to grow over time. When that beneficiary becomes of age, typically 18, but it could be state dependent on where you live, so you'll want to check that out, then that money gets transferred into full ownership of that minor. Then they can do whatever they want with that money. They can keep it in the account or they can withdraw it to use on whatever expenses they deem fit. So who is eligible to open a UGMA? Anyone is eligible to open this type of account. You don't have to be a parent of a child in order to open up a UGMA. You could be a grandparent, family member, aunt, uncle, a friend. You can open up this type of an account for a minor that you want to. Now let's talk about taxes, because we all know certain investing accounts have different types of taxation requirements. Now the earnings that you might potentially get in a UGMA can be taxed either to the child or to the parent, depending on what the requirements are. And you'll want to take special note of that so that when it comes tax time, if you have any earnings reported, that you as a parent who operates the UGMA could actually report those earnings on their tax return and then pay on those taxes on behalf of your child. Now this typically depends on the amount of income that the account has generated and the beneficiary's age. In 2022, any individual can contribute up to $16,000 or $32,000 for a couple, and those gifts or contributions are tax exempt. You'll want to check with your CPA just to make sure you understand the taxation requirements, particularly in your state when it comes to opening up UGMAs, how the earnings are taxed, and how your gifts are taxed, so long as you make sure you stay within those contribution limits. If you go above the contribution limits, then you could very well be taxed, and that's why you want to make sure you check with your local CPA. Now, speaking of contribution limits, the $16K per individual or $32K per couple is in effect for 2022. If you go above that, then that's where you fall into those taxation requirements. And you'll have to submit an additional form when it comes to filing your tax return with the IRS. Let's talk about the benefits of a UGMA. The cool thing about this is that you can withdraw the money from a UGMA account and use it to spend on any expense that benefits that child or that minor. Also, there are no penalties for withdrawing that money at any time. Plus, you can invest in various things, as I mentioned, bonds, stocks, index funds, mutual funds. Any of those are fair game to funnel that money inside of a UGMA account in order for it to grow over time. Plus, you can have other family and friends contribute to this account, so everybody pulling their money into this investing account can really help and benefit that minor. Now, of course, with any benefits to an investing account, there are some cons that you should definitely pay attention to. One of the biggest cons of a UGMA is that it can count as a source of income on that child's eligibility for financial aid. If they were to apply to college and they wanted to apply for federal financial aid, this type of account and the amount of money in it could actually hurt their chances of financial aid. Also, they aren't entirely tax sheltered. You will have to pay some taxes on those earnings, and then also any contributions above those contribution limits. And a big thing that a lot of people worry about is that when that minor becomes of age, typically 18, but it could be older depending on your state, the transfer of ownership is automatic to that minor. So if you're not comfortable with that and you don't feel like that minor, that 18-year-old, has the financial knowledge to understand what to do with this money, then the earnings in it could all be wasted on something that you don't find very beneficial to that minor. So you want to just be careful about what your intentions are for growing this money outside of a 529 plan. So why would you want a UGMA? Perhaps you don't want to set up a special trust fund in order to get money over to your dependents. Also, you don't like the restrictions of a 529 plan. Keep in mind, a 529 plan is set up specifically to help with a child's educational expenses. That has since expanded to K through 12, in addition to higher education expenses. So if you want to be able to gift money to a minor and really see that grow way beyond what you could earn inside a savings account, a UGMA would be a really great option for you to set aside funds that that child could eventually use in their early adult years to perhaps fund their own wedding, maybe use that as a source of a down payment on their first home, maybe potentially buy a replacement car. Think of all the bigger things that somebody in their young adult lives just starting out would need money for. That's what a UGMA could come into play and really be helpful versus a 529 plan. All right, so where can you open a UGMA? Any brokerage or investing company typically has this as an option for you, so do your research and make sure you understand the state requirements specific, just so that you understand when that transfer of ownership actually happens. Personally, I do not have a UGMA opened for my daughter, who is 1.5 years. I just haven't really found the benefits of it because, again, with the transfer of ownership, perhaps I want more control over that. And if so, if I do want more control over that, I could see a lot of us maybe just operating our own investing brokerage account, just a plain old brokerage account where you can invest into it and then withdraw anytime you want to, and then you could take a portion or all of that money and gift it over to your child whenever you want, maybe when they're 25 or 30, I don't know what it is, but you could have some more flexibility with just operating your own investing brokerage account versus a UGMA. But I could see UGMA being really beneficial if you can spend that time in that child's young adolescence, like their high school years, and even middle school too, like just teaching them all of that stuff early on so that they understand the value and just the power and control that they'll have over that money when it comes time. Speaking of financial knowledge and financial literacy, be sure to check out my new book that's coming out, Investing for Kids, 65 Activities About Growing, Saving, and Investing Your Money. It is linked below, and if you've gone past the pre-order, don't worry, it's still available on Amazon, and I'll be sure to update the links below. Do you have a UGMA account? Let me know in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one.